Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Hi, everyone. This is Anna speaking. Can you guys hear me? Can you see me? I'm not sure here. All right, so I guess you guys can see me and hear me. Hi, everyone. Say hi in the chat. And while we are waiting for Shadi to join us, I would like to get to know you a little bit, and then I will, of course, introduce myself. Yeah, my name is Anna. I will tell you a little bit more about me in shortly. Meanwhile, I see that there are already over 90 people watching. So I want to know, guys, a little bit about you first. First of all, I want you to tell me where you come from, okay? So here you can see the poll. Please tell me which city you come from. Because I'm from Odessa. It's in the south of Ukraine. It's very hot. It's usually very hot here, but today we have a cold weather. All right, so let's vote. Let's vote. Okay, so we have over 20% of people from Kiev. Good. We have Kharkiv and Odessa here. We have Dnipro, Lviv, and other cities. Okay, guys, vote, vote. Come on. You should vote. Alrighty. Okay, so you're from all over the place. Yeah, you're from all over Ukraine. Now, since you hear me speaking English, you guys, I want to know if you can understand me well and if you can speak English well, okay? So here's another questionnaire. By the way, did you know a questionnaire, survey, poll? Yeah, all right. So we have the majority of people here are from Kiev. Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, okay, so please vote, 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 all righty. And now I have another poll for you, another questionnaire for you. Let's end this one. And now I want you to tell me if, all right, how do I do this here? Chat, polls. How do I do it? All right, there you go. What is your level of English? I want to know what your level of English is. Alrighty, so let's see how many of you can actually understand what I'm saying. And let's see how many of you need help with what I say in English and what Shadi is going to be saying in English. You guys are lucky. Hopefully everything is going to be good on his end and you will have this fantastic chance to listen to both British and American English. Right. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm happy. I am really happy that we have intermediate. Yeah, we have range of intermediates. And when I say range of intermediates, I mean we have a range of pre-intermediates, intermediates, and upper intermediate. Oh, there he is. Hey.
Craziest issues. Hey, Anna. Hey, everyone.
I don't think we can hear you. Maybe this is just me. Is it?
You can't hear me?
Am I supposed to hear you? I guess so.
I hope so.
Alrighty, guys. So yeah, awesome. So we have the majority of you can speak and understand English well, as far as I can tell. Some of you are even advanced and proficient. This is great. Fantastic. Great. Awesome. And yeah. And one more question before Shadi is taking care of his audio issues.
I'm ready to go.
That's okay. That's fine. Do you guys work in IT? I want to know if you guys work in IT or you want to start, or you work in another field, or you don't want to work in IT. You just want to listen to me and Shadi. That's the reason why you came here. So please let me know. Let us know about a little bit about you and your background too.
Okay, Anna, you ready to go? Awesome. Technology. Anna, can you hear me okay? Awesome,
Okay.
Anna, can you hear me?
I think, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, let's get started.
Yeah.
So, everyone, without further ado, we're not going to prolong this any further. We have so many people in the room. Sorry to keep you waiting, and thank you for your patience. So, my name's Shad. I'm the co-founder of Make It in Ukraine, and we're running a series of events to basically enlighten people on remote working, or working on board, and making far more money online. Today, we have a really awesome guest. Her name's Anna. She's the CEO of English4IT, studied abroad at places like Stanford, works with international IT companies around the world, and has been teaching English for over 10 years, specifically to top business people and bloggers. So she's one of the perfect people in Ukraine to speak on these topics, speak on how to leverage your English to really take you to those next steps. So Anna, thank you so much for joining us today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, like you said, just a quick, I can introduce myself real quick here to the crowd. I am the founder of a language school, English4IT. As far as I can see, there are people, it's almost 50-50, people who work in IT here watching us and people who want to start working in IT. And I'm pretty sure everyone understands that if you want to nail your tech job, or if you want to get a promotion in like your tech career, you have to speak good English, right? So this is what we do. We help people to advance their English skills for work so that they can get higher salaries, so that they can work for international companies, so that they can even move to the country they want to live in. And of course, they need to speak good English. So this is what we do. And this is why I'm here, right? And this is why we are here to talk about how to improve English when you want to pass a job interview, right?
So let's speak about that, because I think it can be quite nuanced and there's lots of details that people don't really think about. And there's lots of different countries that speak English, but they don't all share the same context, colloquialisms, types of language. For example, British English is very different from American English. Do you have any experience with this?
That's true. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that people who are watching us now, they can hear differences already. Yeah. Because I speak American English. I've been traveling to the States for 10 years now, and I usually spend a few months every year there. So that's why my English is American. And basically working in tech, I know you're British, but we have to admit it, most tech is done in the United States. So you would have to, a lot of clients are from the United States. So you would have, I believe that American English and understanding American culture of communication is very important, because you end up speaking American English more than British in this for work, in that respect. And understanding how to interact with people in English, in the United States, for example, or in Europe, is crucial. And this is actually something that we teach in English4IT as well, cross-cultural communication. I even have there is a big part of the course on English4IT communication that we teach, and we talk about cross-cultural differences. And the biggest, I would say, there's one thing that everyone should know about communication is how to reject, how to say no, or how to give bad news in English. Because if we compare the way Ukrainians give bad news or Russian speakers give bad news, it's totally different to what you guys, how you report those bad news, right? And a lot of times I saw that to Ukrainians, sometimes it's not even clear that you are saying no to them, when you say something well, I'm not sure, I can meet you tonight. And the first thing we think is that you have to think about this. But in reality, you're just you're just rejecting. Is that right?
Right. I think there's this meme where British people will essentially say interesting to pretty much anything. That's interesting. Yeah. And it can mean 100 different things.
That's true.
But also, just within communication, because there's language and then you have linguistics on top, right? And I think when we talk about means of communication, we have to really consider what that means. So as a remote worker, you might have the need to communicate and persuade when it comes to convincing someone to pick you for a role, or to negotiate higher hourlies or higher salaries. So there's that role of persuasion and communication, where if you're speaking to Americans, you might need to be far more arrogant and far less humble in your experience and your wins in your previous life. Whereas if you're talking, maybe a foreign company is looking for developers, the level of language they might really care about is written English or academic style of logic and reasoning and just those patterns involved. So when we're talking about communication, we have to understand over what mediums and like why it's important and how to demonstrate those skills to someone that's interviewing you or someone that you're looking to partner with on a project. Have you seen this with your clients?
Yeah, the thing is that I believe that overall people start thinking about this, like this medium, this what you just said, some people would require you to be more academic in the way you communicate, in the way you write emails, for example, or in the way you just communicate during a meeting or at the job interview. However, I believe that people will think about this only when their English is really advanced. Because if you are intermediate, the only thing you can think about while you have to speak or write in English is grammar and vocabulary. And this basically gives you no chance to think about the style. Yeah, what style are you going to use? Are you going to be more formal? Are you going to be more semi-formal or informal in this case, right? So that is why I keep telling people, like, you guys have to improve English all the time. And my recent slogan is that you shouldn't learn English, you should live it. When I teach English, I try to show to people how they can make English part of their life so that they never formally learn it, like, ever, because you can read a piece of article every day and learn something every day. You can listen to a podcast, a piece of podcast every day, and then you don't even think about it, but you are improving. But what people actually are doing, what they do first, they don't focus on their English studies whatsoever, and then when their job interview is 2 weeks from now, they call Anna and is like, Anna, I have a job interview. Can you give me a preparation course? Of course I can, but I cannot guarantee you're gonna nail it. I mean, because I don't know your background, So it's better if you do something, if you, read, watch, listen every day, and then you are prepared anytime. And then you really need job interview preparation. You don't need English studies, right? You don't need English lessons as they are. You just need some tips and tricks and, confidence and practice how to answer these job interview questions. And that's another thing regarding job interview questions. Because my company and we are I have been basically testing candidates before their interview with a client for 3 years. So we have tech companies who would order this service. We would do this for them when they are hiring, and everyone on their resume is upper intermediate. You probably know this. Every Ukrainian developer or every Russian developer is upper intermediate on their resume. But when you start talking to people, sometimes it's even pre-intermediate. Sometimes it's a beginner. People just randomly put those words there. And and the companies, they would ask me to test their English prior to sending them to the client interview, And when I talk to people, there are certain mistakes, there are common mistakes that everyone makes, when you start speaking English with them. So mistake number one is that is soft skills. People don't realize that speaking English and also generally communicating, having a conversation is all about soft skills, right? It's how you position yourself. It's it's everything. It's verbal communication and it's non-verbal communication, So guys, here's the tip for you right now. When you start speaking in English, you always start with, hi, how are you, right? And right there, people make the first mistake. And this is why they are never upper intermediate. Because if I ask you, how are you? And you tell me, I'm okay, and that's it, you're mute, you're never upper intermediate. You're not even intermediate. Because this is an answer that tells me nothing about your level. I'm okay. How are you? I'm okay. This is really this is nothing. But, you know, instead, you should give more information, right? And of course, you have to show me that you're nice and you ask me back, how are you, Anna, right? So I never, like, there's so few people who would ask me back, how are you? You know, so that is why this is something to keep in mind. Your greeting should be more extensive than in Ukrainian, for example, right? And instead of saying I'm like okay, which may also mean that there is something wrong with you, like there, you know, you don't feel well or something, you can be like more on a positive mode. Have you, by the way, when you are interviewing developers, have you noticed that they fail, a lot of them, they actually fail at the very beginning of the conversation when they cannot maintain this small talk, you know, sort of like a small talk. I mean, greeting and then small talk. Like small talk is actually the worst because not many people can do it.
So with developers specifically, I feel as though it might not be the level of English, but they just want to get to the point straight away. Like we're talking about something, we both rationally know why we're here. Let's just like get straight to the point and talk about business, which I think might be like somewhat cultural, but I definitely get your point where
it is cultural.
In the first 5 to 10 minutes, you're essentially trying to build that rapport and just, so to speak, shoot the shit, just speak about like mundane things such as the weather and what's going on, and just having that flow back and forth at the start.
Yeah, that's something that is something I keep telling, I keep explaining to people, and I'm happy that well, you know what I've noticed, you know, I've been teaching corporate English, I mean corporate IT English for 8 years now, you know, and I've been working with like big Ukrainian companies, and I have noticed that I mean, companies that also have offices outside Ukraine. And when I'm conducting workshops and some seminars or courses for for employees outside Ukraine who like relocated, Ukrainians or Russians who relocated to Poland or Germany, I've noticed that those people, they are interested in developing their soft skills in English more than people who actually still live in Ukraine or who are not like planning to relocate, or maybe who are not thinking about, I don't know, getting a promotion or higher salary. And unfortunately, I still hear from some developers that like, oh, we don't need English. I don't use English for work. I'm like, yeah, guys, you don't use it now, but you don't know what's going to happen in a year or 2 years, and then you have no time. You wasted this time.
Sure, and I want to highlight this because I think most people get the impression of English speakers just from Americans, and people have to realize that by and large, Americans are like quite ignorant to like situations outside of America. And so they'll like just travel around the world and expect people to be able to speak English fluently. And I'll hear all the time, oh, you know, I live in Kiev, of course. I'll hear all the time, oh, Shadi, I'm sorry for my English. And it's like, well, I'm living in your country. I should be speaking Ukrainian. Like, don't apologize to me. And actually, most of our clients are German or French and Swiss. And, you know, actually, their English isn't that great. French people's English isn't fantastic. And they'll speak to me on a lesser level in terms of English level than most Ukrainians will. So it's just about getting to that certain level, like you were saying earlier, where you can have that conversation and just be fluid. But I think people have this big mental blocker in their mind where they believe they have to be as good as you are. And it's like, no, actually, no. For 95% of the jobs, it really doesn't that matter. You just have to get 80% of the way.
This is true. And, you know, as a part of any course that I teach, I actually like to work with people mindset a lot, because I believe that you can improve better if you change your mindset. So this is what you said, actually. I tell people to stop apologizing for their bad English at the beginning of a conversation that they have in English. I tell people to stop apologizing for their mistakes at the end of the conversation, because and also I tell people to stop saying that their English is bad at the beginning of any conversation, because I was like, what's the point if you start a conversation in English and you say phrases like, I'm sorry, my English is bad, or I'm sorry, I don't speak English, and you say this phrase in English, this is ridiculous, actually. Because if you say, I'm sorry, I don't speak English, but you already said like what, 5 words of English, and you know, it was great. And I tell people, you just stop you just stop saying those negative phrases, because this is a mental block, you know, this is a mental block for you. And after saying these words, and like people repeat them all the time, and they're just like creating this language barrier, mental barrier, psychological barrier. And then they're like, oh no, I am afraid of speaking. I was like, of course you are, because you keep repeating to yourself, first of all, that your English is bad, you make a lot of mistakes, or you don't speak English. And you know what? Once I tell them this, like once I say this, they're like, oh, wow, this is really working. So sometimes like you really need to tell people what they should or what they shouldn't do. And I believe that learning a language is closely connected to your mindset and like the way you think, and how you also like how you about your personality, and this is how you the perception of yourself, like really what you think of yourself, and of course your self-esteem as well. And when we talk about job interview, for example, right, and sometimes people with a good level of English, they fail it, the job interview. I mean, why? Because they're just like so insecure, and they're just like they just can't say anything because their self-esteem is so low, and they just can't believe they can nail it and they can get it. So what would you say to people who like have this psychological barrier that it can be connected to their level of English, or maybe to something else? Like, what would you like, based on your experience, like talking to people? Because I'm pretty sure you've come across people like that.
So I think the best way to empathize is to understand when someone's trying to speak your language and you understand that they're trying and somehow failing. And for the most part, like, you don't care, you're just happy that they're trying. So like, for sure, it's the same abroad. Like, if I understand that you're just trying and most of the vocabulary is there, and maybe I just need to slow down, much like you will have to slow down if we speak Ukrainian or Russian. I can give a couple of examples. So for example, when I was first learning Russian and my Uber would arrive, instead of saying like, "Moy machina is this," I would say "Moy mushina is this." So I'd always just say like, "Oh, my guy is here."
That's funny.
And also, so you know deodorant, right? What you put under your arm. Well, I thought I was using deodorant for like 6 months. It was this Nivea, but actually it was hairspray for your hair. So I was always like, "Oh, my arms are so sticky," you know. Because I just read it wrong. You know. And the best way to deal with it is just to laugh and constantly practice and understand that hopefully the person cares that you're just trying. And if they don't care, like, screw them anyway. Most people will be considerate and understanding. And if your skills shine through and your confidence shines through, it's still going to work. It's not about being completely perfect.
Yeah, I agree. That's the problem. But with the tech professionals, developers, you know, and other people working in tech, quality assurance engineers as well. The thing is that a lot of them are perfectionists, and that is why it's really hard for them to admit that mistakes are actually okay, and you can laugh and you can turn it into a joke. And I think that it's blocking them, you know, being so perfectionist about, like, you know, how they work and how they talk, and this really blocks them for becoming fluent even with mistakes. Because when you learn English, by the way, when you learn English, when you learn speaking, right, if you want to improve speaking, there are 2 things you have to work on. It's you know, practice for fluency and practice for correctness. So what do you think is more important? Of course, fluency is more important, because if you're fluent but you still make some mistakes in your speech, your goal is achieved. You can communicate, you can explain to the person what you needed. You make mistakes, however, they will understand you and you will get your message across, right? So speaking for fluency is more important, but this is the time when you don't worry about making mistakes so much. When you are practicing for correctness, this is a time when you actually want to be corrected and you want to be aware of your mistakes so that you learn from them and you learn how not to make these mistakes later. So when you just, let's say you are a beginner, like you're elementary or pre-intermediate, you have to worry about practicing for fluency more than for correctness. And actually practicing for fluency, you can even do it on your own. I see someone in chat wrote that you can make a conversation only with the PC. Well, you're right. There is one, it's like a lot of people, of course, ask me like, Anna, I want to practice speaking, but I have nobody to talk to. I was like, okay, you can talk to your, guess who? You can talk to your AI. You can talk to Siri. You can talk to Google Assistant. They're good guys, you know, like you can talk to them. And especially you can talk to them like practicing questions, because you know, oftentimes people make mistakes when even asking simple questions, right? Like if you, for example, don't have money to hire a teacher, for example, right? Or you have no time or whatever reason, although there is a lot of opportunity for, you know, to practice speaking, but like sometimes people like, I want to practice on my own. Yeah, you can do it with AI, for example. Or there is another way you can practice speaking if you have nobody to speak with is you can start blogging. I mean, you don't have to share it with public, but you can start blogging. I mean, you can record videos where you talk about, I don't know, your skill, or you're just sharing something you're expert in, or you're just, you know, like have some questions and you answer these questions. And this is another way, this is also a way for you just to get started, just to practice for fluency. Yeah, there is no feedback. You will get no feedback because nobody's gonna, you know, correct you, for example. But practicing for fluency doesn't really need correcting you. That is why, yeah, so this is something that people can do.
Do you have like so I'm really interested, is a set amount of steps that you've observed within your clients? There's just a successful pattern. For example, 12 hours, 12 hours a week for 1 year will get you from X to Z. Like, is there some specific pattern that you encourage using, even with the amount of practice with other people or tools or blogging?
I see. Well, I believe that we are all talented and like anyone can learn a foreign language, but we all are like, we're really different. And I can't tell you how many hours a week you need to learn Russian or English, right? You have to decide it for yourself. Because like, for example, some people are better with languages, other people need more time, but eventually we all can get really good and successful at speaking a foreign language. But I believe in short-term goals, right? So like I don't recommend like setting your language goal shouldn't be longer than 3 months. Like you have to give yourself 3 months if you want to upgrade to the next level. And in this 3 months, you have to determine how many hours a week you can and you have to study in order to upgrade, right? Mm-hmm. And like I already said, that I recommend that people do a little bit, but like every day. Because if you think, and you have to have this system, like you have to have it all scheduled and figured out, because any language learning requires you to be consistent in what you do and how you do it. So if you decide that you're gonna study English 3 times a week, you better keep to this 3 times a week. Not like, okay, so like this week I'm gonna skip and I'm gonna have like 1 hour of English, but next week I'll catch up and like I'll study it every day. It's not gonna work. You have to have a schedule, and you have to keep to this schedule. Another thing is, if you do a little bit of of something every day, I believe that you can learn faster, because you don't feel demotivated and tired.
Right.
I believe that when you learn a language, you really have to like what you're doing. And I actually believe it not only about language learning, about anything we do. And if you want to be successful, we really have to like it. Because if you have negative feelings towards like something, it's very hard. It's going to be very hard to succeed in what you do. That is why if you are not tired, because sometimes people tell me, "Oh, I hate English." If I hear this, it's going to be very hard to help them, to improve. So
Ignore that. I'm still here.
That's okay. Yeah. So that is why I believe that you have to give yourself 3 months, and it has to be, I would say, like 20 minutes every day. Or if you can make it like 20 minutes every day, make it whatever hours a week, but make it a routine. Yeah. So that, it builds up. Like this has to build up. It's like snowballing, you start, it's small, and then like it turns into a big ball. It's like snowball effect here. I have a question actually regarding job interview. So what would be your top like 3 things that you have noticed developers or like tech professionals do wrong when at their job interview, like regarding their English or regarding their communication style or soft skills in general? What would be like top 3 failures, top 3 like things that basically help them fail?
I think the most pertinent, the most important one is just not building this rapport, not becoming friends fast. So
basically, sorry to interrupt, I would just like to add here what you mean they need to improve their skills of small talk, because this is and breaking the ice at the beginning, right?
I guess in technical terms, yes. So you have this concept of small talk where you're just breaking the ice, but also asking questions and getting to know the other person. A lot of Westerners, especially Americans, I think all of us love speaking about ourselves, and one of the main, roles of a job interview.
Yeah, we're not interested in other people. We're just interested in ourselves. Yeah.
It's true. One of the main roles of a job interview is to understand the position you're applying for and like to show some respect towards it. And by asking these questions and trying to learn more yourself, it really does show this respect, and it really does endear you to the other person. It makes the other person like you more. But almost like 95% of our employees kind of miss out on this important fact. They just want to get straight into the details and talk about their experience. So that would be the number one. What do you think of that one, Anna?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I wish like more people would understand it and try to change it. And this is something that I learned. That was actually my culture shock. The first time when I came to the States, I was like, why do these people want to talk to me all the time? Like everyone, even the guy who I don't know, he's just walking out the dog and he just stops and wants to talk to me. I'm just like walking there. I don't want to talk to anyone. And and this concierge in my building, he keeps saying, hello, how are you? 10 times a day. I was like, what? You don't remember? We already said hello. But like, yeah, that's like, he can't just, like in Ukraine, for example, we can just turn our eyes away. Yeah, just look down, and we don't say hi even to our neighbors, unless we really know, like we were introduced to each other. So, and this is a cultural difference. And I keep explaining to English4IT students how important it is to actually understand it and change it. And and you just but it's very hard. Like I said, it's psychologically it's very hard for people to start talking about like unimportant random things. They feel really awkward. But when I saw it, what happens if they start practicing? So like one time it's like, first time it's like super awkward, and you feel like really weird, and you may be even blushing, I don't know. But like this next time, the second time, you're like, okay, it's like, it's better, and then it goes smoother and smoother, So practice makes perfect. this is like the only thing I can say. And yeah, you just have to go out there and practice. And another, speaking of like people who work remotely, so when you work on a remote team, and you know, most communication is done in like chats, right? Slack, and like, I don't know, if you're a developer, GitHub commenting, what is it, Jira commenting, and things like that. And because of this, I would say introverts, like, you know, I wouldn't say this is an introvert. This is just a cultural thing of being afraid to speak up, or like being afraid to say something. Sometimes people get fired because they are because the management, American side, like American company, perceives them as people who don't do anything, because like they never say anything in chat. They never say a word during the meeting.
Definitely.
They never
Definitely.
speak. And even yeah.
Sorry, Anna, this is an important point. So I think people need to realize that being humble is just suboptimal. Like, being humble is not going to get you anywhere. And it's just the unfortunate truth. And it's exactly what you said. You unfortunately have to be loud and also sell yourself. So when a lot of people are trying to demonstrate their experience, they believe the most effective way to demonstrate their experience is by saying everything that's on their CV and what they did. However, this isn't an effective way to persuade the other person that you are actually good at what you do. And it's not a good way of like winning them over to your side. So really, both before work and during work, the idea of not being loud, you know, even the person who's doing 10 times less than you, but is 10 times louder than you, they're going to be perceived as being better and doing more, which is like a big issue, actually. Like, this is actually a big issue. So I think you're touching on a good point here.
Yeah, this is true. And honestly, it's just the same at a job interview. You know, if, like you said, if you never ask question, like you have this, you're having an interview and you never ask questions, you give really short answers, you know, it's wrong way to show that you're a great professional. And yeah, if you actually nail the job, you can never know, you may be fired, because really, like, your management may not see that you are working and you are a great asset to the company and to the project. However, you think that everything's okay. And another thing is that again, this is a cultural difference here too. If you are an American and you're never afraid to say what you think, because you know, American like history, it's like, it's, you know, they built the country and they could always say what they think, and in Europe pretty much the same. Soviet countries, post-Soviet countries, you know, we're different. And we, even though like I'm a younger person, I did live in the Soviet Union, right? But like a lot of people still, even younger people, they have this fear of speaking up, because this is the way we're brought up at school. And our teachers, they don't like, they don't encourage us to express our opinion and to say what we think. They actually do things to prevent us to be like, you know, individuals. And that is why when communicating, like when you work for a foreign company inside a foreign team, people would always discuss something, and you as a Ukrainian developer would always be silent, not because you have nothing to say, because there are several reasons why you're silent. And the first reason is that you are afraid to be judged for what you think. However, you have to keep in mind that nobody's going to judge you, because you are entitled to any opinion, and that's it, you know. And oftentimes the discussion is not about the correct answer. The discussion is about brainstorming, and especially if this is a brainstorming session, you have to say even crazy ideas, you know. And, you know, I feel that Ukrainians and, I don't know, Russians, Belarus developers, they don't understand this, and they're just afraid to say something because they are afraid to be judged, or they're afraid to look stupid, for example. And this is wrong. This is wrong. And this is actually wrong because you are not, like you said, selling yourself.
Sure. So we would do a lot of candidate interviews at MRU and just speak about certain differences. So essentially what we do is we take developers and they might be earning 50K a year, and we get them a job in Germany or SF, and all of a sudden they're making 90K a year. And it's like just a case of how you're positioning yourself and how you're selling yourself. But when we're originally presenting these jobs, they say, oh no, like we're not good enough for this. And the phrase that keeps on coming up is imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And what needs to be reiterated, not just like between me and you, but I think in inward facing Ukrainian media, is the idea that actually there's a good chance that Ukraine has the best talent in the world right now. And there's lots of statistics and data to back this up. Per capita, it's very likely that Ukraine does have the best technical talent in the world right now per capita in one of the best time zones. So actually, you know, considering your STEM education, the university infrastructure, the infrastructure of the big outsourcing firms, which is churning out lots of juniors, it might not be good, but you still have this process of lots of juniors getting product ready experience very fast. As you have a really good IT network, and this isn't like the rest of the world. Actually, it's quite crazy, and we have to come together and realize, oh, actually, shit, you know, actually we're pretty good at this. Actually, maybe we're better than other countries at this. And what people will find is there's a huge disproportion on a curve of Ukrainian tech talent and designers and even marketers who have 7+ years of experience. Because if we look at the nuances of what happened here in Ukraine during the last 2 revolutions, a lot of the venture capital left. So in the West, when someone has 3 years, 5 years experience as a developer, they want to be a CTO, they try and start their own startup and so on. But that just hasn't been possible due to a lack of capital and inflows inside of Ukraine at this point in time. So there's lots of developers and talent with tons of years experience, hands-on on products, working super hard on their specific hard skills. And so what's that led to is the talent is just basically better. And we need to extinguish just kind of cultural imposter syndrome, because we're not worse, we actually are better, and we just need to learn to be louder about it.
Yeah. Like I said, it's great that we are throwing such events like this one. I mean, I'm basically, you know, English4IT, we do a lot of free events where we actually educate people what they have to work on in order to become better and get their dream job. Yeah, and imposter syndrome. Do you guys know what imposter syndrome is? I'm not sure here if we should talk about this. So imposter syndrome, this is when you are experienced, but you don't think you're good enough for a certain job. Yeah, like you always doubt, you always doubt in yourself whether, like, okay, am I good enough? Is my English good enough for this job? I'm not going to apply because my English is not good enough, right? This is the imposter syndrome thinking. Or when you say, okay, I may not have enough years of experience in this area. So yeah, okay, good. You guys know about it. So yeah, so this is something that, you know, honestly, last year I've been to 3 big conferences in San Francisco, 1 in San Francisco, 2 in San Francisco, and 1 in Lisbon. And the one in San Francisco was in product management. And I was really surprised because they had out of 10 speakers, they had, I think, 3 who were actually talking about imposter syndrome. I mean, product managers have this syndrome, you know, when you want to work as a product manager, but you think that you're not good enough because, like, you know, you haven't built a great product yet, for example, or you haven't worked for a big product yet, and things like this. And there is a good book that they recommended. It's called, I wish I could remember it now. I can't. I don't think I can. I should check it out, and I should probably talk about this in my blog on Instagram. So you guys follow me. I will post it in my stories. There is there was a speaker who wrote a book about imposter syndrome and how to fight it, how to become like more confident in what you do for work. Yeah, but unfortunately, I just I can't remember the name of the book off the top of my head. So yeah, so you guys have to follow me for sure.
So let's just talk about actually specifically conquering the interview. Are there any common themes that you hear from not your clients, but I guess your clients' clients on what works super well in interviews? Are there any hacks or tips?
Yeah, so hacks or tips. First of all, start conversation properly. What we said already, yeah, break the ice and you know, make small talk, be curious, yeah, like ask questions, be curious, like you just be there, you know. And another thing that don't act as if it's interrogation, like don't expect to be asked questions all the time, because like it's like, you know, it feels weird. It's not a dialogue. It's not a conversation if you wait for the other party to ask you questions all the time. You also have to ask questions. So you should imagine it as if it's a ball game, right? You have a ball and like you throwing ball at each other. But so this is like asking questions, you know, like I ask you a question, you ask me a question back, etc. Another recommendation is, of course, be prepared. Prepare to answer questions. For example, if they ask you, tell me about yourself, I mean, this question is not about your family or your dog or your cat. The question, tell me about yourself, is mostly about your professional background. You know, sometimes people are not prepared and they're like, okay, so I am this and that, and I like doing this in my free time. Maybe you need to talk about your hobbies a little bit later, but like, you know, telling about yourself, it's the best description and the shortest description of why you are so great for this particular job. And again, another thing that Ukrainians, they tend to underestimate the importance of preparation, honestly. Like if you watch American movies, for example, you can always see the main character rehearsing, yeah, before an important speech, before, and like rehearsing for anything. Like you have to give your vows at the wedding, you rehearse, you have to make a presentation, you rehearse in the bathroom in front of the mirror, right? This is not what we do. Ukrainians don't do this. And I want to change this, you know. I keep saying that rehearsing, if you have a chance to prepare and you have a chance to rehearse, do it. Like when you, before a job interview, you know that you will have to make small talk. You can prepare for the small talk because you know who you will be speaking with, right? You know that's going to be Shad, and Shad is from Great Britain. So you can talk about the weather. British people love that, right? You can talk about underground and say something like how it's so much better than New York subway. He's gonna love it, you know. And like you can already prepare some potential, like you can have some potential topics to talk about. This is what I mean preparation. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to prepare like actual questions. I mean, you can prepare some startup questions, yeah, to strike up a conversation, but still. Another thing, like you prepare for typical, I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone here can Google, right? So you can just Google top 10 interview questions and just like spend some time with a pen and paper and just plan what you're going to say. Again, I'm not saying you shouldn't learn your answers by heart. Nobody, that's bad. Like you should not learn anything by heart, but you have to be prepared because I know that employers like to ask behavioral questions, right? When like you want to like tell me about the last time you had to solve a difficult task, or tell me about the like how you work together with the team or something like that, right? So you have to have some examples. And here's regarding English, how like what native speakers, like how native speakers expect you to answer these questions. Whenever you have to answer a question in English, you there are three things that you need to keep in mind. First, you answer the question. So you give a statement. Yeah, for example, like you ask me like, Anna, like, what do you think about this? And I say, I think it's this, right? So this is my opinion. The next sentence, that's not over. Yeah, that's not it. I'm not done here. After you make a statement, you have to explain why you made the statement, like why you think so. So you keep this question why in your mind. So you say why you think so, and then it would be great if you add some examples. So if you like have these three sentences when answering a question, that would be great, because then first of all, you will say 3 sentences instead of 1. That's going to show your level of English, right? I mean, I can already judge if I hear 3 sentences, I can judge whether you are intermediate, upper, or advanced, right? But if you just give me 1 sentence, I will never, I cannot tell whether you're advanced or not. And also, this is a structure that native speakers typically use when they are talking about like something, when they're making a statement or expressing their opinion and things like that. So you need to start doing things that native speakers do, so that, oh, there's another thing that my client, one of my American client once told me, like, Anna, they were talking about me and about a person whose English is, for example, not as good, but they're a great engineer, yeah, for example. And they say, Anna, we would pick you even though your technical skills are not as great as that other person, because you're one of us. I was like, what do you mean I'm one of you? And they were like, because your English, yeah, because your English is advanced, and we can understand you, and we are sure that you understand us. So you see, like, when talking about you are one of us, they mean language, the language, like they mean the language, and the fact that you understand how they communicate, right? The style. You're not afraid to ask questions. You're not afraid to make mistakes, right? And yeah, and you know some nuances of this communication. And so, like, be prepared, like prepare to answer questions properly. And another thing is be aware of some like really, I would say, common and like stupid mistakes. Like there's this one, and like I can never believe that your English is intermediate if you make this mistake. So when you're asked a question for like, how long have you been working as a developer? And the answer is, I am working as a developer, or I work as a developer for 5 years. I can never believe that you're intermediate. Because first of all, you don't like you don't know that you have to listen to the question, because usually the question is a prompt for your answer. My question was, how long have you been working? So for like, how long have you been working? So you say, I have been working for 5 years, right? Yeah, so like if you don't know how to answer this question, if you don't know that all the questions with how long typically are answered using present perfect continuous, like, you know, you're never upper intermediate, you're not even intermediate.
But let me just say something. What Anna's speaking about is classifying people into levels of English. If I see someone as a good developer and they say, I make development for 4 years, and like that's the sentence, but they're like a great developer, like personally, I wouldn't care. So it is a spectrum. Like, you don't have to worry about being super perfect.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. But I mean, like, you know, I'm saying this from the point of when you're applying for a job and you are stating that you are this, you are upper intermediate, and then the company asks me to talk to you to make sure you actually are upper intermediate, and I start talking to you and you're making this mistake, and then there's another failure, and I'm like, why did you say you're upper intermediate? Yeah, I understand. Yeah, if you can, I mean, if you are making those grammar mistakes, but your communication skills, your soft skills on a higher level, you're not afraid to speak, you know, that's totally fine. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna spend like 10 to 15 minutes just answering questions, and then you have perfect. You have some cool stuff for people, which we'll go through after that, and just be a bit ready. So everyone, if you can drop your questions into the chat, we're gonna go from bottom to top. So please do that now, and we'll try to get to everyone's question. So Sergey asked, yeah, let's go. I think this one might be a question for me. Sergey asked, on your mind, what is more important, soft or tech skills? both. It is not mutually exclusive. It is not binary. You should both be able to be someone's friend and talk to them casually, but you should also be able to speak about the tech that you are working with.
I like it how you put it. Be a friend. Yeah, you should know how to be a friend.
Sure. Another Anna asks, any good phrases for finishing the interview? Something better than just saying bye, thank you. How can you wrap it up?
Yeah, well, I would wrap it up with some questions that you have, because usually, you know, you can ask questions on the go, but also they always ask you at the end of the interview, is there anything you would like to know? I would always ask questions, because if you don't ask questions, that's a bad sign. And you can ask questions about the project more, about the team. You know, I mean, don't ask questions about cookies in the kitchen, okay? Don't ask questions about food. This is not the perk you're looking for. If you want to show that you are a truly great professional, you want to ask more questions about the project, about technology that the project is using, right? Because like if you ask me about the technology that you are going to use in the project, I will see that you really care, like you want to grow, like you want to use maybe something new. And so ask questions about team, project, technology, and don't like ask questions about silly things like days off. I don't know, because like everybody has days off, like vacation time. I mean, that's important, but this is usually what you have there. But if you want to position yourself as a like true you know, professional, I would focus on that. So yeah, ask questions, and then you can wrap up by like you know, looking forward to hearing from you anytime soon. If you need like anything else, please let me know. And yeah, thank you. That's something. But like I said, if you start asking questions, you will see that the wrap up will be really warm itself. So you don't need like any specific like phrases for that, but do ask questions. Yeah.
For sure. And just to add to that, like asking questions is super important because you show that you have some leverage in the deal. If you're also questioning what's there and trying to find out more, not only does it show that you're truly interested, but it also implies that potentially you have other options and are trying to weigh up multiple factors in your head to consider what is best. So just as a hirer, as someone interviewing, they will instinctively know on a subconscious level that you know what you're talking about. As Anna said, you're more professional, you come across as more experienced, and just generally asking. If they just finish asking you questions and you say, okay, thanks, bye, it's not a good look. Moreover, what you can do is always ask for next steps. What are the next steps? When you ask for things in this way and you like want it logically laid out and you want to understand the expectations of you, this is also a really good sign in the interview process that someone's taking it seriously and wants to understand the full process. Anna also asked, any tips on what to say in a job interview if you don't have previous job experience? I guess this one is for me.
Yeah, sure.
So I would say it depends on the job and what you're applying for. If it's an intern or junior role, then of course you're much better off. Ultimately, if you're applying for a senior role, it's probably not going to work out. However, if I don't have job experience, perhaps I'm transitioning into a new industry. I'm mainly just trying to convey my intellect, my trustworthiness, and my confidence. Because ultimately, if you can't sell your hard skills, you have to sell your soft skills and your innate humanity in order to be able to actually persuade them to take you on for this role. And it's just a case of that. You're just showing that you will be best on this job. You will hustle the most on this job. You will be the most confident in trying to learn these skills and adapt and onboard all of this knowledge as fast as possible. What's your opinion, Anna?
Yeah, I think so. All that you said, and I would say that when even if your English is not that advanced, like you shouldn't be worried about this. Like you should focus on, like you said, answering the first question on soft skills. And if you do it, you know, simultaneously, if you improve your communication skills /English /tech, that would be fantastic. And you can always you will always ace any job interview there.
That's true. Do you feel like there's a top 3, as Julia asks, phrases that will completely win your employer over? Or is it easy to boil down into phrases?
I would have to think about this one, honestly, but that's a good question. I was like, I would have to think about that. But I would say that these phrases are going to be different depending on what job you're applying for and who your employer is. But you can definitely come up with those phrases if you learn a lot about your potential employer. Isn't that what you're supposed to do, right? Learn more about who you're applying for. I mean, what the company is, like what they do and things like that. And I would say that these phrases, one or two or three, they have to be a problem solution phrases. Like if you can deliver a solution to something that you know the company might be or is experiencing as an issue, this will definitely be a winner a phrase here. Yeah. So like yeah, if you can show that you can solve their issue, yeah, their problem, I think that could be great. Like in anything. So basically, Julia wants to know the phrases that can help her sell herself. And when we're talking about selling something, we always think about problem solution, right? So think about the problem that you can solve for this employer and turn it into a one-liner, or turn it like, into a case description and talk about it. What do you think, Shad?
I think you shouldn't tie yourself up and offer constraints in your language, and you should try and go into it with as much of an open mind and calm mind as possible. You shouldn't be trying to rattle off certain phrases. You should just know the general direction that you're trying to go into. And I think that's probably a better approach. Otherwise, you get stuck and it's more anxious. You're trying to remember the phrases. But just what you said, just this idea of selling and so on.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on, Volodymyr asks, how do I check my level of English? How do you check your level of English?
Well, you can check it on my website. You can check it on my website, on English4IT website. We do have a quick test where you can check your written English. This is grammar and vocabulary. But also, like, if you want, but I mean, you have to understand that your spoken English is usually different. The level of your spoken English is usually different from your written English. That is why if you want to, I don't know, if you want to really like to have a real assessment of your language skill, you can just, again, talk to us and we can have you like we can get you a speaking interview and a written test. Yeah, because like pretty much any online test that you can find online, you can't rely on their results, because a lot of tests, like a lot of English schools are offering those free tests, but their level that you will get at the end of the test will be lower than you actually are, because the schools they just want you to enroll and study with them as long as possible. So that is why, yeah, if you need to check your level of English, you can talk to us. We can get you an English test, both written and spoken. Yeah, and also you can do it on the website. There's a website, you can do it there.
Interesting. Anatoly asked, does it sound rude to answer the expected salary question honestly? No, it does not sound rude. Actually, it is. Actually, it's usually a plus if you are straight to the point, up front, and honest with it.
I'm not sure I understood the question. Like, does it sound rude if you are a candidate and you ask about the salary? Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
I believe that's what he's asking.
Okay.
So yeah, so I would say no, it's not rude at all to talk about money, because it's a job interview, and that's a very important variable for the employer to understand, and to understand like what they're getting. Actually, it would only be rude if it's, in their job it said $60,000 to $100,000 and you ask for 140 or 150, and you completely go out of their expected range. It's never rude, and it's always encouraged. I just, as a small suggestion, I would always go over by about 15 to 20% of what you want. just as a rule of thumb from a sales perspective.
Oh, really?
Because, well, Ukraine is
20%, huh?
maybe even more, maybe up to 30%. There's this rule in sales, right? If the client says no the first time, you've done it
Yeah.
right. So if they say yes, you've done it wrong.
Yeah.
And most people are looking to sell for them to say yes the first time. But this is the wrong approach. You want people to say no the first time. No, this is too much money. Because then you know, like, you can negotiate down to that upper bound. Otherwise, you're selling yourself for too little. So always give your expectation and always add on to it. Ukrainians always undersell themselves.
That's a good recommendation, Chad. Thank you. I think it was really, really valuable for all of us. Yeah. There's another question about contractions during job interview.
What's a contraction? I literally don't know.
I knew that was a question to me, the grammar teacher. Contraction. I mean, I think what Alexander actually means acronyms. Because a contraction is when, for example, you have I am, and a contraction is you say I'm, or have not, haven't. This is a contraction. But what I think Alexander wants to know about acronyms and abbreviations, like, for example, FYI, ASAP, and things like that. Alexander, you should tell me if I'm right or not. But anyway, I want to talk about acronyms, and I want to say about acronyms, you can use acronyms because acronyms, there are certain acronyms that are used to describe technical things. Yeah. So like SQL, for example, right, or some other things, you have to use them. Yeah, but of course, I mean, things like ASAP, I don't know, Shad, would you say that during your job interview? Maybe like telling a story about like your previous experience, and you want to say something like, I had to do it ASAP, so I did this and that. I mean, that would sound a little bit casual for a job interview. How would you feel about candidates using such language? Unless it's a terminology.
Yeah, if it's, for example, like MVP, like, or LTV, so lifetime value, CPA, terminology. If it's not terminology, just like LOL, I would be a bit irritated.
Oh, okay. So actually, Alexander means contractions, like I'm instead of I am. Yeah, you can totally do it. Yeah. Yeah, you can totally do it. Yeah, it's just like if there is such a thing, like when you write a formal email, which is not the case, because IT emailing is different from formal email. IT emailing is more semi-formal. So if it's like a true formal email to like to the president of the country, then yeah, you say I am and I have, do not. Yeah, you don't use contractions. Yeah, actually, this is another part of a course that I want to talk about. Like one of the courses that I have a special offer for everyone who has joined us today. So on this course, there is a part where we teach IT emailing, and I developed this particular, class myself because I used to work as a project manager for an IT consultancy, and I saw how like native speakers communicate and how they write emails, and it is totally different from what you can find in the English textbook. You know, when they teach you emailing in the English textbook, it's completely irrelevant to tech industry.
So yeah. Guys, Anna's, we've just put a link now to Anna's offer. She's like been very gracious and generous, and she's offering 50% off to Make It in Ukraine talent. So if you hit the link and you want to jump in with Anna, she's one of the best in the industry. Please go to our website, sign up, ask her team questions, and get to know her. Anna, is there anything you want to more? It's also important to note that they distinguish by like different levels. You're better at telling it than I am.
Yeah, yes, of course. First of all, at the bottom of the page, if you click on the offer link at the bottom of the page, you can take the online test and see what your level of English is. It's absolutely free for you. Also, this course is good for anyone with strong pre-intermediate to advanced level. And this course is actually about soft skills. This is what Shad is like really passionate about, right? So basically on this course, you will learn, you're not going to like practice a lot of grammar, or I don't know, you will basically practice communication skills like emailing, pitching yourself, job interview practice, CV writing, how to handle meetings in English, how to make presentations and demos in English, right? Cross-cultural communication. So we will touch upon all like these important topics that are important to get a job in a foreign company and just become more confident and fluent when you speak English, regardless whether your level is intermediate or upper intermediate or advanced. So like we developed this course so that like everybody can benefit. Besides, there are different packages, so you can get the package that is going to be that will have practice lessons, or you can just get the webinars and just be in listen only mode and practice your soft skills in English. That's it.
Sorry for the Instagram.
Yeah,
very
sure.
cool, guys. So go hit the link if you want to check that out. It's super cool courses and for a crazy good price. I'm going to answer a few more questions. We'll start wrapping this up. Kirill asks, what are my chances to be employed with intermediate English and hone my English during work? Kirill, I would say if your spoken English is anything like your written English, then your chances are very good. And naturally, as you're working with other English speakers, it's going to get much better. What you'll find is, if, for example, you're a developer, most of your communication will be over Slack and email, and it's going to be written and more technical in tones. So your overall structuring, when you're reading these sentences in your head, is going to get better. And eventually that should translate back into your vocab and spoken. What do you think, Anna?
I would say that, Kirill, you can totally get the job with intermediate level of English. But if you practice communication skills, because like this level of English is enough as long as you know how to communicate, how to use it, as long as you know how to make small talk, as long as you know how to ask questions and how to respond questions, as long as you can do active listening, so like as long as you can maintain conversation, like simple conversation in English, even though you make mistakes, but still you can show that you are eager and you are really like interested and curious professional. So you can do it, absolutely. And yeah, you can improve English because like almost anybody, like almost any company now offers English training once you land the job, So yeah, so I would actually, Kirill, if you worry about your intermediate English, I would definitely recommend you look into the course English for IT Communication, because this course will actually help you to understand your weak points in terms of communication. It's not about like English, it's about communication. Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention that the course starts tomorrow, so you guys better hurry up.
Very cool. Thank you, Anna. And Katerina asks, what are the best topics for small talk with US and EU clients? So I have an opinion on this. I have an opinion on this. If it's small talk, like, so with past clients, I would literally talk for 20 minutes on a 45-minute long sales call about animal communication. Literally, the client is in Canada. They ran a sanctuary for white rhinos in Africa. They were saving white rhinos in Africa, and we spoke for 20 minutes just on if we can communicate with animals, and if we could, like, how would it work? So what I would say is there's no topic like that you can't speak about, and you should judge it based on the person you're speaking. Before I jump on a call with someone, I will go on their LinkedIn. I will read anything they've shared on their Twitter. I will try and find out what person they are. If I have to persuade them, I have to understand what life perspective they have and kind of what things they want to hear and so on and so on. And I will navigate my conversation accordingly to, their vision, so to speak.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I totally loved when you said that you would go on LinkedIn and try to learn more about these people. This is what I was talking about. Do your prep work. Do your prep work for small talk, and like you said, the small talk can be about pretty much anything. I would just add that you should be aware of some bad topics for small talk and for conversation like politics. I wouldn't start with that because you don't know where, or some recent news that may be bad news. I wouldn't want to start a conversation with a person I don't know really well and started on this negative mode here. And and I wouldn't necessarily want to start with talking about family, because it may be a sensitive topic, unless you know that the person has a family and you can talk about this. But but if you have some information already about the person, then you can decide what to speak about.
Right. And what works really well is self-deprecating humor. So if you want to get a bit more advanced, the best way to build rapport very quick, just in terms of sales, is by being vulnerable. And what that means is basically laughing at yourself as fast as possible. So I may just say something stupid I've done recently. They'll ask me, how am I? And I was like, well, I was feeling quite stupid recently, or I did this idiotic thing, or I actually walked into the shower open, I smashed my face off the shower. It was completely, I would just say something utterly ridiculous because people never expect it. And on the face of it, it sounds like, oh no, you don't want to say anything bad about yourself, but actually it just injects this humility and confidence at the same time, and will instantly get people to like you. So if you don't want to speak about the weather, you can say a funny thing. Just the trick is not to say anything with negative emotion. So what you shouldn't say is what I had on an interview last week, which is, oh, I actually had a bad weekend. I had to take my cat, mój kotik, to the vet, and it took up my whole weekend. This isn't what you want to say because it invokes negative emotions. So you're actually more thinking about what's providing a positive, happy emotion, and what isn't. And that's what's going to give you the answer to small talk.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You have to stay positive. Nobody wants to hear about your problems or your hardships. Yeah. That's true.
Especially Americans. They don't give a shit.
Especially when it's job related, that's nobody wants to. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to start wrapping this up, guys. There's an offer as well, you can see. So we put the link to Anna's courses in the chat. And of course, we make it in Ukraine. Most of you already know us. If you don't, go to the site, check out our job board, check out our Telegram group, sign up for the newsletter. We have amazing insights on how to get remote jobs that pay 30% more than Ukrainian rates, blah, blah, blah. It's good stuff. You should go check it out. It's too late to sell,
your Telegram channel.
It's too late.
That it's in English. Very good English too.
Thank you. Interestingly, we actually did a poll whether we should do it in English, Ukrainian, or Russian, and people overwhelmingly voted for English, and we were surprised and also happy. So it was really cool. Oh, Anna, I think you have one last cool question from Lilia, which is, why did you give up project management and switch into English teaching?
I kind of sense that English teaching is less popular than project management in IT. Well, actually, this is my school. I'm the owner of the school, so this is my business. Obviously, this is also project management. I work with IT. Technically, my clients are IT. I'm doing more than just project management. I'm doing product management. I'm doing everything. So it's definitely more interesting. Besides, I worked as a project manager. It was more of a experience for me to understand what my clients need better. To understand better what my clients need. And after the job, I developed this English for IT communication course that I am offering you guys today, because I could really see from inside what the problems are and how I can help and solve them. I mean, communication problems, English and communication problems. So So I guess it's just this is just it, and I believe that anybody, you have to understand what you want to do in life, you know, like you want to do IT, you do IT, you want to do something else, you do something else. You just have to try, and then you decide for yourself. That's important, but you will never know unless you do something. So that's why, my guys, like my final word here is keep growing, like never stop growing, and always like look for things, what you want to do in life, and decide for yourself what you can do better, what you enjoy the most, so that you can live happy life. Yeah, but I believe that one of the keys to happy living is never cease growing, and just always improve. Yeah.
Well, I will have nothing more to add, and I don't want to ruin what you just said by saying anything more. So everyone, thank you so much for coming. I hope you had a great time. I hope you learned a lot and got a lot of value. See you soon on the inside, and go make sure to sign up to Anna's course because it's awesome. Bye, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you for
Bye,
having
guys.
me. Have a good one. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.